What's going on, everyone? I'm John from 16 Views. The way I'm going to time this video is I'm going to release it right around the same time, maybe a little bit before iOS 16 is released. I'm filming this on Saturday. I think when I looked it up, iOS 16 is being released either Monday or Tuesday. So I'm going to release it at the beginning of the week. We'll say that. I've been using the iOS 16 beta on my phone for a couple of months now. So I just kind of wanted to go through and talk about some of my favorite features, some of the things that are going to be coming to your phone, just what to expect. So yeah, let's get into it. The biggest new kind of like headlining feature, or the thing you're going to see Apple like promoting the most, is the new customization coming to the lock screen. So you're now going to be able to have a ton of different lock screens and be able to change them super easily just by holding on your lock screen. And then you can change things like the font of your text. You can change the color of your text. You can now put widgets on your lock screen, so things like weather, like your activity rings for Apple Watch, your calendar, your battery percentage of like your AirPods or your watch. So you're gonna be able to change that around a lot. Apple's used some sort of like AI learning, and they're doing this really cool thing where it'll look at the subject in your wallpaper and then basically cut out that subject and put it in front of the time. And it gives it like this really cool like 3D depth effect. It's a really neat thing. And obviously you can turn this feature off, but I think it looks really fun and it adds like a very nice depth effect to your lock screen. Another really cool feature is that you can have your pictures on your lock screen rotate. So you can go in and then choose, what pictures you want. Maybe you want to choose 10, 15, 20, and then you can choose how often they rotate. So I think you can choose between like every time you like turn on your phone, every hour, every day. So it's kind of a nice way to constantly have like just a little bit of like something new. Another lock screen thing is that they've just added way more possible wallpapers. There's this really cool one where it uses your location and then shows you where you are like on the globe. And then when you unlock your phone and swipe up to go to your home screen, it like zooms in. It's a very satisfying like animation and it just looks very cool. And I'm assuming it looks even better on some of the newer iPhones that have ProMotion. I do think out of like the whole lock screen stuff, my favorite feature is just being able to switch wallpapers and switch lock screens so easily, because you just hold down and then it gives you all of your wallpapers that you've used previously. So let's say I want to like hold down and choose a new wallpaper, and then I can just switch that and I can scroll through. And it's not like it was that difficult to change your wallpaper before, but you weren't able to like save lock screens. You weren't able to save wallpapers. If you switched it but then wanted to switch it back, you'd have to go back and then find the photo. Now they're just all right there and you can switch them in 2 seconds. And just since they've been doing all of these like lock screen changes, they've also made it much more centered around your wallpaper. So now notifications and like your music player are all at the bottom of your screen. So you're always able to like see your wallpaper, which I appreciate. So basically like the top 2/3 of your screen is basically just the clock and your wallpaper. And it's nice that you can always see that. But I really do like that if you're playing music, you can click on the little album art and it'll give you like a full screen view of the music player and just bigger album art. And then it'll take like the color coordination, the color scheme of the album art, and then just kind of like make like a nice little like blurred background using that color scheme, which I think is very neat. The lock screen was 100% the headlining feature. Like that is the thing that you're going to see on all the marketing information that Apple gives out. Like that was their like main thing. But one feature that they have added that is kind of snuck under the radar, but people have been asking for, including me, have been asking for so long, like such a long time, is that you can now, I need like a drum roll or something. You can now edit messages and delete messages. Now, before you get too stoked, before you get too excited, there are some caveats. So if you are editing messages, you can only edit the message within the first 15 minutes of you sending it, and the person that you're sending the message to will be able to see like what changes and what edits you've made. With deleting messages, you can only delete a message within the first 2 minutes, and while the person will not see what the message said, they will get a notification that you deleted a message. This isn't something you can, send a text and then 3 hours later, when you maybe have a little more clear judgment, you can delete. This is a very much send a text, minute later, oh shoot, probably shouldn't have sent that, take it back. So all I'm gonna say is, you still have to think before you click send. This isn't gonna save you in the future, a couple hours when you're maybe thinking a little more clearly. Out of the two, the editing feature is way more helpful, because you could be like typing and then you just like misspell a word, or there's like a minor typo, and then you can just go back and fix it instead of sending like a whole new message or having to like send like the corrected word with an asterisk or something. Like, I think the editing thing is definitely what I'm more excited about. The person you're texting also has to be on iOS 16. I have not been able to actually utilize this feature yet because I'm on the beta and none of my friends are on the beta. So you do need to like be aware of that. So, you know, if you're gonna send a text but then delete it, make sure the person's on iOS 16. For me, those were like the two big features. Those were the features that really like mattered to me. Those are the features that I think are going to matter to most people. But then there was a couple other things that I've noticed just like using it for a couple months that I have appreciated and I thought I would like include in this video. So first off is the weather app has been like completely revamped. You can now like click on different data sets, like click on the hourly weather, and then it'll give you like a little graph of like the temperature, the precipitation, the UV index, and it'll give you a little like graph that'll show you like over the next 24 hours or something like that. And you can see the weather for the next 10 days. They've also added a built-in radar to the weather app. That was one drawback of the Apple weather. It didn't have a radar. It was very like skin and bones, like just basic. This is the temperature, this is humidity. A feature that they added to Apple Maps is you can now add a stop in a route. And we've seen this in Google Maps and Waze for a really, really, really long time. But I hate Waze with a passion. I don't know why. And I don't use Google Maps. So I'm purely an Apple Maps user. So this has been kind of a nice feature that I've been able to utilize here and there. It's not something you use that often, but it's kind of like a nice feature to have, and I'm glad they're catching up in that respect. In Photos, you can now do batch edits. I personally don't think I have ever actually edited a photo in the Photos app, but you can do batch edits now, so you can make an edit on one picture and then copy the edits and then paste it to the rest of your photos, which is way more efficient. Another feature that they added in Messages that I forgot to mention is you can now like refresh a notification. So I have a really, really bad habit of doing this. Someone will send me a text. I will click on the text, read it, and then be like, I'll respond later, and then I'll close it. And then I'll completely forget to respond because the notification is no longer there. So now you can swipe right on the conversation and that'll like refresh and like re-put the notification on that message. So it has that little blue dot and it's showing the little like number indicator on like the Messages app, which has been a lifesaver for me. And so now I've actually utilized this feature probably more than any other feature besides the lock screen stuff, where I'll read the message, then I'll refresh the notification so that it's still like being like, hey, you haven't responded to this yet, and then I'll respond, 10, 15, 20 minutes later. Very small feature, but has definitely helped me out a lot, and I know there's people like me who kind of get into the same habit and then feel really bad when they don't respond. There is a feature that they've been advertising that's basically like a live notification. So it'll be like a constant notification on your lock screen about, let's say, like how far an Uber is away. And then the notification is, since it's live, will adjust, as the Uber gets closer. Or another example they give is the score of a baseball or a football or a basketball game. The notification will constantly update as the score gets better. And it's not like it's like sending you a new notification every single time there's a score. It's just one notification that's constantly updating. I have not actually used any of this because this is something that app developers have to make and develop on their own. So this is something that the NBA app or the MLB app or the NFL app or Uber or Lyft or whoever has to like build into the app, and they haven't done that yet. But I think there's plans for them to do so. So like in the renders and stuff, it looks really, really cool and looks really helpful. This is a feature though that I think, especially with Dynamic Island in the new 14 Pro lineup, I think that's going to be really, really, really nice, utilizing that dynamic island and constantly having an updated score of a baseball game or a basketball game. And talking about dynamic island, iPhone 14 lineup just got announced last week. I made a whole video on it. If you haven't seen the video or you want to learn more about the iPhone 14, 14 Plus, 14 Pro, 14 Pro Max, there was a couple new Apple Watches released and a new pair of AirPods Pro. If you want to learn about any of that, I'll link that video up in the cards. I want to say it's this side. Other than that, those are kind of like my favorite features, the features that I feel matter in this new iOS 16 update. This is probably my favorite feature update since they started allowing us to use widgets a couple years ago. I really, really like the whole lock screen update and the lock screen customization. It just looks awesome. I encourage you to update, especially if we are friends, so I can edit messages, because that seems like a really, really fun feature and I want to do that. So let me know if you're going to update. Subscribe if you'd like. I'd really appreciate it. I'm John from 16 Views. See ya.